Hello, welcome to the Pop Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Chauncey Julius. The Pop Talk Podcast exists solely to eradicate fatherlessness. Our mission is to sharpen, salute, and encourage fathers to show up for those who matter most. I'm thrilled today. We have a very special guest joining us on our channel. I'd like you to help me welcome DAZ GOODMAN to our show. DAZ and I, we attended high school together at Columbia Central, there in Columbia, Tennessee. He was a tremendous athletic two-sport talent. This boy could play some ball, basketball, football, you named it. He even played college ball in Northern Alabama, and since gone on to become a successful entrepreneur and a dedicated father. That's why we have him on the show today. He's here to share his journey of managing the tension between the world of business and parenthood and inspire us with some valuable insight on how to thrive in both roles. So grab a seat, get comfy, and let's dive into this exciting conversation with DAZ. Hope you enjoy it. And so like last time we talked, man, I'm thinking around 97, 98, man.
Yeah, man, it's been a minute.
It's been a minute, but you've always been one of those guys that, you know, you was definitely a public figure during your high school days. You know what I'm saying? You was part of an electric team, man. Y'all went to sub-state, y'all went to state. Man, you even played some football on the Advanced Blue there in Columbia, Tennessee. And so, man, you was that dude, man. I remember just watching y'all my senior year, man, because I couldn't play. I could play, but I was so banged up, I didn't even try out for the team. But I wanted to play ball, but I did the second best thing so I could travel with the team. I became a manager. I was a manager. And so one of the things I just remember, man, y'all just taking off, man. You and Hollis and Miko, man. Y'all had a squad. Man. Bird, man. Like, man, y'all had a squad back then, man.
Man, look, we sound old already, and I talk about it all the time. And like my sons think I can't hoop, and they can't even beat me, and they think I can hoop. But like when I tell them like stories, like even right now, like I can watch them play, you know, high school ball and stuff like that, and the game has changed so much. Like I will say, they're more athletic than us. These new kids are. But they're not better players. They're definitely not better players at all. Yeah, man.
What is it? What is it? The IQ? Is it the fundamentals? What is it?
I think they jumped the gun on fundamentals. They went straight from not learning regular fundamentals to like Euro step. But it's some things you gotta do before that. You know, just like regular life, man, you gotta start doing some stuff to get to some point. If we all want a mansion, you got to do some steps before that. You just don't jump into a mansion unless you get lucky. You know what I'm saying? But same way in sports, man. Same way in sports. They just jump straight into like this extravagant Euro, crazy layups, all that type of stuff when you don't have to do that to really get to the bucket. You know what I'm saying? So
right. Well, we gonna talk probably a little bit of sports, man, but we don't have you here for sports, man. We got you here for one reason, man. You know what I'm saying? You know what Pop Talk, you know how we get down, man. We're all about fatherhood. We're all about sharpening, saluting, helping fathers tell their story, man, so that they can encourage other dads to show up for those who matter most, man. And so that's why we have you here. We know that you're a father. You're a father. How many kids do you have, Daz?
I got 4.
4. You got 4 kids. Okay, cool. And so let me grab my notes here, man, and go ahead and get ready for you, man, because I'm excited about this interview, man. I was slick nervous, man. I was like, man, hey, man, this is a celebrity in my mind, you know. I was slick nervous, man. I remember the fun times we used to all have on the bus when we'd be traveling to and from games. Yeah, and just to tell the audience a little bit about your character, man. I remember, you know, it wasn't many that we lost that year. You know, I think it was like just you can count on one hand and have fingers left over. But I remember when we would lose a game and just the atmosphere on the bus, it's like you could hear a pin drop.
Quiet.
And some of these bus rides back to the school were like, you know, hour and some change, you know what I'm saying? Getting to and from. And man, I could just, you know, you could just hear a pin drop on those days. That's how focused, that's how locked in you guys were in high school.
Right.
In high school. And so to see you now, man, tell us a little bit about what you do for a living.
So what I do for a living, I own a multimedia company called Create Live Studios and a sports marketing company called Live Prep Nation. And we do, if you think about it, all things media, we pretty much do it when it comes to videography, cinematography, photography, graphics, websites. We take your brand to the next level. That's what we do for a lot of small business, personal people, big businesses too as well. So, you know, we just take your brand to a next level. So we do it all things media.
That's outstanding. That's outstanding. And so we have you here. Tell us a little bit about your kids, your kiddos. What ages are there? What, boys, all girls? What are we working with?
So I got 2 boys and 2 girls, 17, 14, 11, and 7. So, you know, I had my first son when I was 24, right out of college.
Right out of college?
Yeah, right out of college, man. And he actually came, you know, as I was graduating with that extra year. So, yeah.
And so you said you had your child fresh out of college. What's the story of how you became a dad? How did you become a father?
Man, well, you know I had.
well, we know the scientific way. We're gonna keep it G-rated around here, brother.
No, man.
But was it planned? Was it unplanned? Was it something that you had on the radar? Like, tell us about the events just leading up to, you know.
So me and his mom, we had planned to get actually married a year before then. And so it wasn't planned, but you know, if that came along, like we was definitely cool with it at that time. So she got pregnant and he was born like November of 2004. And I graduated college in December 2004. So like
2004 was a big year for you then.
Man, it was a lot, man. I'm talking about like he actually came to my graduation.
That's awesome.
As a 1 month old. Yeah.
Wow. And so tell me a little bit more about that. Like, what were some emotions surrounding the pregnancy, the day of birth? How were you feeling? What headspace were you in?
Man, listen, becoming a father, man, is like life changing from day one. Like, you think that it's going to change your life, but until the day of birth, like that is the day that it actually changes your life. Because if you're one of those people that you like to sleep all the time, which I'm not, this is a change of life when it comes to that. You're going to be up at 2:00 in the morning, helping do, you know, milk and change pampers and all that type of stuff. And my mentality even going in it was to not be like my dad. You know what I'm saying? So I had positive male figures in my life, but my actual dad wasn't the most positive figure for me. You know what I'm saying? So
absolutely.
So growing up, my whole thought was I'm not gonna be like my dad. You know what I'm saying? Even though my dad cool, it's just that I'm not gonna be like him. I want to be more to my kids than he was to me.
Hey, what up, Pop Talkers? Parenting is a tough job, especially when it comes to raising toddlers. But what if I told you that there was a guide that can help make it just a little bit more easier, right? And so I did a thing. I wrote an ebook and it's called Raising Toddlers. I wrote this book to share all the tips and tricks I've learned raising my own little ones, from potty training, from picky eating to them throwing tantrums. It's all in there. Don't let the terrible twos or the terrible threes, for that matter, get the best of you. Get your copy of Raising Toddlers today by clicking the link in the description. Trust me, you'll be glad that you did. Now back to the interview. So I'm hearing what you're saying. So was your dad in your life on a day-to-day basis, or was he under the same roof as you? Was he? Tell us a little bit about your father.
So my mom and my dad divorced when I was probably like maybe 3 or 4. So it was the back and forth with him. He traveled a lot with job. Then, other things, drug abuse and things came like that. So he wasn't in my life on a day-to-day basis. It was more of a, come in and come out. But I had a strong family that actually kind of crowded that around, which they came from my mom's side and his side of the family as well. So I had positive male and female figures at the same time.
So you had a support system, had a strong support system.
Strong.
And so with that, let's well, before we get into that question, because I got some questions when it comes to that support system.
Oh yeah.
Hey, some of that support system supported me,
Oh yeah, most definitely.
in response, they played a role in being the man that I am today. And so, man, right. they had some reach in the community back then. But before I get into that support system and talk about the support system, I kind of want to back up a little bit and just kind of get you to kind of expound upon what springs to mind when you hear the word father.
Whew. That's a strong question. And when I think about the word father, I think of the word everything. You know what I'm saying? You really have to be there, here, there, everywhere for your kids. You have to be everywhere, everything. I mean, it's so much that I could talk about when it comes to that word. But everybody has a different definition of it. Like I said, my experience beforehand changed my definition of what a father really is. Because I said I had positive role models and figures in my life, which was my granddad, uncles, and also my aunts as well. And I actually was able to see firsthand what a positive father in a house with his wife was, because I pretty much stayed with my granddad and grandma my whole life. So you got to be everything.
Gotcha. So you had fatherhood, you had healthy, you had healthy fathering modeled for you.
Oh, most definitely. I'll never forget. And I'll go ahead and tell you this. Like I said, my dad was, a drug abuser at one point, and I went to counseling. This is when I was actually younger. You know what I'm saying? And the counselor said, like, the chances of you being on drugs is like greater. You know what I'm saying? You know how like certain stuff that somebody says to you that keeps with you like for the rest of your life?
Just sticks with you. Yeah, absolutely.
That little phrase stuck with me the whole life, and it actually changed my life at the same time, because that made me say, that's not going to be me. Like, no matter what, and which can be a positive and a negative thing, because you'll go out your way to do some things that may not need to be done in order not to be like your father. But if you take the positive route, everything will be good.
That's good, man. That's good. You talked about being raised by your grandparents, man. Let's talk impact.
Oh yeah.
What level of impact did Hannah Bullock have on you as a man?
Woo, man. Listen, if it was anything like an angel on earth, like, she was really it. I've never seen a person more caring, more loving, more supportive than her. I mean, she's one of those people that you can always fall back to no matter what. Talking. She won't judge you. Now, she spoke her truth, but she's not going to judge you.
Okay.
But overall, her and my granddad, they're the most impactful people that I've ever met.
Wow. That's good. Was there anything any truths, you talk about her speaking her truth. Was there any truth that helped shape you as a father?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Take care of yours. Always take care of yours. And if you put effort in anything, it'll always come out on the positive side. She always took care of everybody until she passed last year. Like, she was still taking care of people. She always gave back, and I believe that's one of the things that's why I think that she's an angel on earth, because, as you know, if you do anything for yourself, that's not really a blessing. But if you do stuff that impacts other people in a positive way, that's being a blessing to people. And that's what definitely she was.
That's good. You know, our whole platform with Pop Talk is targeted towards men. It's targeted towards fathers. And so we say a lot.
Right.
And we have a lot of language surrounding empowering men, right? But I think is in order to take a step back and talk about the level of impact that women have in our communities.
Right.
Let's be clear. You know, we have grandparents, grandmothers, you know, being mothers again, and then again, you know, right? So yeah, it's definitely in order to take a step back and give the kudos to all the ladies out there, all the grandmothers, all the mothers out there who are stepping up to the plate again and again and making a deep impact in the lives of our young men. Yeah, absolutely. All right. And so, man, I watched a lot of TV. I was an 80s baby. You know, I was born in 79, but I was raised in the 80s and the 90s, and I watched a lot of TV. This is before YouTube and all of that stuff. And TV dads played a huge role, and I don't think I even knew it at the time. However, they made quite an impression on me and on a lot of my peers. What's your favorite TV dad? Who's your favorite TV dad?
So, you know, of course, the go-to is Bill Cosby.
Right.
Because he was a provider. He took care of his kids and his wife and everybody around them, because he even took care of his parents in the house at one point. And I think that was a good definition of like what a father is, especially being on TV. That was a good thing that I seen. But also, Robert Townsend was a good TV dad.
See, I knew you a media man, so I knew you was gonna go digging in the crates of me. I knew that was gonna happen.
Right. He was a good TV dad. Because what I did like about that show that he was on is that he always spoke truth. Even when it could hurt somebody's feelings, he spoke the truth. And sometimes I think that us adults right now, we sugarcoat a lot of stuff for our kids. And I personally don't think that that's a good thing, because if we sugarcoat stuff, they're still gonna go through the same thing, and it's gonna be false to them later on. So I think Robert Townsend did a good job of like actually speaking truth to his kids, because that was really the storyline. It went from him to the kids to the wife. Every show.
That's good. That's good. That's good stuff, man. Robert Townsend, I forgot all about that show, man. Like, I think that's the first on Pop Talk, man. The dude said Robert Townsend. That's good. We're gonna have to find some clips of old Robert, man, and put it on there. That's good stuff. When you talk about being a dad, and you talked about, you know, the mistakes that your father had made, and I think about the mistakes that my father made with substance abuse and the missteps there, and, you know, so grateful that he's sober today, you know, and man, it's so many obstacles out there for dads. So how difficult is it being a good father?
You know what, man? You might be the first person that has ever asked me that. Like, and I guess to some people it may look like it may be easy for me, but it's definitely not. You know, I can talk about like some of my experiences that I've had to go through. But you know how we talked about sports a little bit earlier, my mindset on winning actually kind of made me never think of how difficult it is to be a father. So like it's hard for me to really answer, because I don't know if it actually is. I think right now that my kids are becoming teenagers and they're starting to see adult things, I think now is probably at the point where it's starting to get a little bit harder, because you shape them up until then. And, you know, once they get to high school, they're kind of on their own. Like we talk to our kids, but that middle school to high school age, that's where a lot of cultivating should have already happened. So seeing your kids know a lot of adult things, I think that's where it gets hard. My oldest son is 17. He's a junior in high school. And now it's more of, look, we need to start preparing you for the next level of life, because like, I'm not going to always be here to support you. I will always support you in what you do, but you can't be lazy. You can't do what you want to do. I'm not paying your cell phone bill all the time. It's levels to this.
It's levels to it. Talk about it. Talk about it. So let's explore that a bit further. You know, it sounds like you said, like, man, I had this winning mentality. I was a competitor, and that translated well into my fathering, you know, right. at the when they were younger, with my kids when they were younger. But now we're making this transition into adolescence and pretty much preparing them for adulthood.
Right.
And so it seems like your role is changing. Am I in the right area?
You're definitely right. We think that our kids don't see nothing at first. We think we can hide stuff from our kids, and they've been seeing everything that has gone up. Me and my kids' mom, we separated early. You know what I'm saying? Got back together and then separated again. And all my kids are by one woman. But, you know, my oldest son, like, he may see things a little different because he spent a lot of time in Florida, and he was going back and forth from Alabama to Florida, like on a month to 2 basis. And then it went on to like a 6-month base until he started like preschool and stuff like that. And then, you know, that's when the transition happened. Like, somebody had to make a decision on, like, well, where's he going to be at? And I made a decision to move to Alabama at that point. And because just to make life easier for everybody. You know, but what I'm saying is that, like, he may see instability of going to place.
Right.
But I want to know, like, what's in his head, what he thinks about that. Like, I've never actually asked him. And he's actually
what impact did it have on you, son? Like, how
right.
did that affect you? Like, okay. That's right. Good. That's good to hear.
He's so chill that he's like me. Like, we deal with stuff. We deal with how we deal with it. And, like, again, they can be a positive or a negative. But he's never even discussed it. And he remembers everything.
So tell me a time, an occasion where you missed the mark as a dad. I think this is a perfect segue into this question, because you said kids see everything, right? And so tell me about a time that you care to share with the audience that you feel like you just missed it. You missed it. And then how did you handle that situation?
So one of the things that I never wanted, like, him to see or experience was, like, say, for instance, when me and his mom, we split up. We wasn't officially divorced, but we was split up, different
separated
stages.
Yeah.
And you know, I was doing my thing, and I never did it in front of him, but he seen certain people, though. You know what I'm saying? And I think that wasn't the most positive thing for me to do for him, because the worst thing or the last thing I want to do is teach him, like, you can go play out there. And it ain't what life is about right now. And, you know, we see a lot of stuff on TV. Everything's going on. Stuff right. that I wouldn't not want to be on TV, like, it's on TV. It's on Disney. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want to teach, like, him that certain things is okay, even when I was doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? So right. I would say I missed the mark on that. You know what I'm saying? But
you feel like you sent him an inaccurate message.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. Did you have any ideas about fatherhood that were proven wrong after becoming a parent? Like, you had this mindset, you had this notion of what a dad is, and then when you became one, it was just proven wrong.
Yeah, that I can fix it all. I can't.
You can't.
My kids think I'm Superman right now. On a lot of issues, they think that I'm gonna clear everything up. I'm gonna fix everything, and everything will always be okay. And I'm glad that they actually feel like that. Because that lets me know that they know that I got their back on anything. But it's not true. It's not true.
You right about that.
Like,
right.
I got your back, but I'm not Superman, and I get tired sometimes. They may not ever see it, but I get tired just like them. You know, like, going to practice. Everybody's doing something, extracurricular activities. We got 4 kids, football, basketball, whatever else they got going on, cheerleading, whatever, and going from place to place to pick everybody up. And I'm an entrepreneur at the same time. Now that God has aligned my life in a certain way, because without me being an entrepreneur, I could not do some of this stuff that I'm doing at all. And this is the way I schedule my life out.
So you're talking about from a scheduling perspective, from a freedom of okay.
Most definitely. But that's hard, man. It's hard because
so what I'm sorry to cut you off, but what advice would you give to that entrepreneur dad that's juggling, that work-life balance and trying to be there for the kids and their schedule and be active in their lives as far as academically and helping with homework and helping with extracurricular activities, and then juggling, work life as well?
Definitely learn how to schedule accordingly to like what's going on around you, and just not think about like money all the time, because it'll come, especially if you schedule right. The one thing I can say is, like, I did a lot of sports marketing, and I used to do a lot of games, going to games all the time, talking to recruits and college coaches and things like that. So early on in their life, I would go to a lot of games. They would go with me. But once they started playing like middle school and things like that, they didn't realize that I actually stopped doing so much of the games. But I had to learn, like, look, I can't go to all these games no more because I got to support my kids, you know what I'm saying, at these games. Right. So I learned to duplicate myself. With
Come on now. Come on now.
So I learned to duplicate myself and hire other people to go to these games for me and film and things like that. So that was a blessing in disguise, but I had to learn that, because at first I was like, how am I going to make this money? How am I going to continue to make this money? And all I had to do was plan accordingly.
That's a smart move. Multiply yourself. Man. There's somebody else out there to do it. That's good. All you entrepreneur dads out there, hey, take notes. Take some notes. That's good stuff. And I like the motivation behind it, right? It wasn't like, okay, you came to a fork in the road. Okay, my kids are playing sports, but I still need to earn a living over here. There's some dads out there that may say, hey, I'm gonna go over here and earn a living. They just gonna have to suck it up. Right? But you made a business decision. You enlarged your company. And you said, listen, I value time with my children, and I'm gonna go over here and spend time. Man, that's commendable, man. Salute. That's good stuff.
It was a blessing, like what I was doing too as well, because it afforded us to see the world for real with me and my kids. We do travel a lot with the sports part of business, and they got to see a lot of different areas because of that. And when we went on trips, like, I made work for a little bit, but the rest of the time, like, we was doing what we wanted to do. It was almost like a paid vacation to another city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that afforded them to see some other things. And when we go out of town, usually, not these past few times, but usually what we do is we'll go to a college that's on the way. So if we go to Florida, I like to go I-10. We'll go to Florida State. Or we'll go to Jacksonville. We'll go to University of North Florida or Jacksonville University. If we go into New Orleans, we may stop at Southern Miss, or we may go to Xavier while we're down there. So it always afforded us a chance to see something while we was there and not just work.
Okay. And so they're seeing something while they're there, but let's be clear. They're seeing Dad do what he loves. You're an entrepreneur. I assume that you're doing what you love to do.
Right.
What impact is that having? Because your children are still there, they're still school age, if I'll say it that way. What impact do you believe this is having on your children? Them seeing their dad operate as an entrepreneur and be a successful entrepreneur.
Well, they all have the entrepreneur spirit. I will say that. They all like to get money, and they're all creative. They're all creative in different ways. My oldest son, like I said, he's at that point now where we're trying to decide like what college you're gonna go to, and I'm asking him, what major you want to major in, and of course, off the bat is communications. because he knows
Wow.
what I do, but he also knows this young side of things now too, and what it can be as well. And if they can take that to the next level, might as well jump in there too, because you already know it. You're ahead of the game. And my second son, like, I had to watch how he did things. He has an engineering mind. I can give him Legos and he'll build it for 3 hours, actually orchestrating how Legos are supposed to go. So in my mind, I'm telling him, look, you need to look at what engineers do. He used to think like engineers just did a certain thing, but it's 100 different engineering things out there. You know what I'm saying? They make
Absolutely.
stuff happen. It ain't just you build stuff. You can orchestrate something in your head, water, a building, a car. It's different things that you can do in engineering, but just seeing how his mind works, like, okay, look, I'm there enough to say, check out engineering. In my Italy, my oldest girl, I see how her mind works. She's almost like a lawyer, loves to argue.
Most women do.
Like,
I'm gonna get butchered for that. I'm gonna edit that
out. Look, she loves to like debate. I'm gonna say that she and she won't start either. That's the thing about it. It's not that she gonna start a debate. It's just that when you come to her with something that ain't right, you better be ready to defend yourself, because she gonna trickle it all the way down. But in my mind, what is that? It's a lawyer. They're dissecting what actually happened and what didn't. And my baby girl right now, she's get a little bit of everybody. So
she's just taking it all in. Huh?
Man, taking it all in. See that?
That's good stuff, man. Let's shift a little bit, man.
Okay.
Sounds like you're actively involved in your children's life. You're an active dad. Let's speak to this issue of. I love to hear you chime in on this issue of fatherlessness. You know, yeah. There's a silent epidemic that's going on in America. The last census report, it reported that there's about a little over 18 million households, children in America that's going to go to bed fatherless tonight.
Right.
Speak to that. What do you think of the fatherless crisis in America?
It's sad. It is sad. And us men, we can take responsibility for some of that as well. But I will say this right here. It's a lot of bad relationships that's spearheading that. And that part is just not on the men. It's on both.
Right.
Both together. And I mean, that's a sickening stat you just said, man. That's hard to even believe that it's that many kids. And I know a lot of dads out there that are actually doing their thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of good dads out there, you know, and the stats are really, they're staggering. You know, there's right. 1 out of 3 children who are fatherless. And then in the African-American community, it's even worse. They're reporting that it's 2 out of 3. Right. But to your point, there are a lot of dads out there who are stepping up, right? Even in the African-American community, we're seeing it, you know.
It is hard, man. That, you know, because when we grew up in Columbia, you know, we seen a lot of men, but we really didn't see like them being a dad all the time, knowing that they had kids. So that kind of showed us something then. But why is there, that's the question to me, like, why is it so many fatherless dads? Is it that just the dads don't want to be in their kids' life? Is it something that's preventing them from being there? Is it the mom that won't let them see their kid? Like, what is it? Like, I would love to dig deeper into that part, because it has to be a reason. Now, you got some dads out here that ain't doing nothing. And I personally wouldn't like to be around those people, because our conversation, we don't talk the same language when it comes to that. But if you got a dad out here that's not just doing that and knowing that their kid needs support, like, I just think that's sickening, man. It's sickening.
I agree. You know, I think a lot of dads are afraid, you know, that they may not have what it takes to be to raise a child.
Right.
That they may not have anything to give. I think there's a lot of factors that play into it. I believe that, even sometimes the government even plays a role in the breakdown of families as well.
Right.
I was having a conversation with someone the other day where, welfare, despite the Welfare Reform Act, I think it was of 1996, it had statistics in there that said children do better in two-parent households. However, you have a government that is dangling money over a family and saying, hey, you can have X amount of dollars if dad isn't in the house. And so when you force families to choose whether the father is in the house, that definitely creates some added tension and pressure in the decision-making processes, whether families are going to stay together or whether they're going to, co-parent, go into a co-parenting situation.
When I hear about in discussion of like fatherless or whatever, I kind of equate that to like child support, because that's what kind of goes hand in hand. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Absolutely.
And the guys that I do know that like may have been hindered of being the best father that they could be, those were the guys that I actually knew that may have been like hindered by child support. And mentally, how we think is, well, if that's all I can do is pay child support, I got to do something else. I'll spend my time doing something else. And that's where the issue comes in at. Because they can't spend all the time with their kid, only every other weekend, or you get to pick them up from school on Tuesdays and Thursdays or something like that. So we got all this idle time. And a lot of the guys, because granted, most kids stay with their mom most of the time, or in their mom's custody or something like that. But
so let me stop you right there then. Let me stop you right there. Let me ask you this, Daz.
Yeah.
Should a child stay with their mother, or should they stay with their father after a divorce?
Man, I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad you asked that question. So do you mind if I tell you my situation?
Absolutely.
Because I think this will answer like the question. So when me and my kid's mom, we split, it was no way in the world that I'm going to be the dad that I am right now and paying child support. Like that's not a thing over here. It's not a thing over here.
So you challenge the norm of child support.
Most definitely, because I'm going to be forceful when it comes to being there for my kids. And whatever they need, I'm going to be there. So child support doesn't work for me and my kids' mom. They don't work for us. So even when it comes to splitting stuff down the middle, even time, me and my kids' mom, we do 1 week with mom, 1 week with me, 1 week with mom, 1 week with me. So we split stuff down the middle.
So you're actively in their lives. You're seeing them on a regular basis. What about the week off? Are you seeing them as much during the week off?
See, the only thing that changes is that they spend the night with mom that week. That's the only thing that changes. The week that they were with mom, I'm doing the same exact thing. They got games, pick them up from school, doing all the other things they need. Whatever's needed, I'm there for it. The only thing that changes is when they sleep at night.
Let's go, man. That's what I'm talking about. That's encouraging to hear, Daz. That's encouraging, like where you just don't think that, okay, they're with mom, I could clock out. Because you hear stories of that, where dads don't see their children but it seems, man, so I could only imagine what the relationship is like there as it pertains to, the love, the care that they receive from you, the attention that they need from dad. It's there because they're not experiencing a drop off.
Again, they think dad's Superman.
You know what I'm saying? Dad is doing it all. Dad is there. He's
always saving the day. And I'm gonna give credit to their mom because she saves the day as well. That's because good. Like our relationship is not a bad relationship. We don't have that horror story that you hear everybody else have. We're just better as co-parents and been married. You know what I'm saying?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, man.
That's beautiful. So that's good to hear because that affects the kids. Like you said earlier, kids see it all. They see it. We think we're hiding something, but they'll see if mom and dad, whether they're together or not, whether they're getting along, and that goes a long way. The way that the father treats the mother of the children, right? That goes a long way. That goes a long way. And so, man, we just came into the new year. In your opinion, what's the most pressing issue that we as fathers, we as men, need to be addressing as we move into 2022?
Whew. Probably social media. And the reason I say social media, because I'm gonna build a pyramid here. Okay. Social media might be at top, but it's a lot of things that trickle down from what social media provides. And they could be even on TV. There's a lot of things on TV that is wrong. A lot of things on social media that's wrong, that we're making the norm right now. Like, we're making it okay. So I think social media has a lot to do with how our kids are impacted. Because, as you know, we're parents. We take kids to school. They're at school for 8 hours. I'm sorry. They're at school for 8 hours. We get back home, cook, take showers, baths, whatever the case is, ready to go sleep. Spend time with each other, go to a game. But again, majority of that time is at school.
Yeah, so we have a small window in the evening to spend. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's when you're preparing for the next day. A lot of that is preparing for the next day. So during that time, your kid is impacted by a lot of influences. Not all negative, but a lot of influences. And I think that is part of some of the issues right now, because even some of our teachers are making some stuff norm. Some of what is shown at school and made okay is being the norm. I mean, it's bad. I go back to like when we was in high school, and I hate to sound old, but I was like, man, well, was we doing this stuff in high school?
We sound like our parents and grandparents.
Right. Like, was we doing some of this stuff? I know we did our thing, and we definitely was not right on all the stuff. But the boldness of these kids is a lot different. Like, they don't care. They don't care. It's almost like, so what?
We was raised by baby boomers, man.
Yeah.
You know, and even in a lot of us, if we was raised by our grandparents, we was raised by the greatest generation, right? Exactly. Those that survived the war. And so I felt that a lot of character and values that was passed on to us probably missed this generation.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You know? And so I work with youth every day. I work in the juvenile detention center. And so I see a group of youth that has been labeled the worst, right, of their communities. And I don't embrace that label for them, but that's the label that's being placed on them. And, you know, I see it. I see the disrespect. I see the entitlement. I see the lack of just moral compass in their life, right? It's just whatever they say is right, regardless of who it offends, regardless of who it affects negatively. And man, we need people like yourself. We need people like, you know, other men out in the community to step up as surrogate dads and toe the line, right? And be a last line of defense. It's hard. It's difficult. It's an all uphill battle, man.
Man, look, I used to teach, and I used to go around in the Birmingham city schools and teach life skills. Okay. And I had to learn how to teach them, because every kid wants a positive male role model in their life. It's just what it is.
Say that again, man. Say that again. We're gonna slow down. We're gonna say that again.
Every kid wants a positive male figure role model in their life. Everyone. It's just how you get to them is what we have to learn, because they're changing. I literally, you ever seen The Wire?
Yeah, absolutely.
I used to come in there, and when I first got the first job, I was bow tied up, G'd up, man, just G'd up. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, these kids was not listening to me. I didn't look like them.
Come
They
on
told
now.
me, Mr. Goodman, you got to tone your dressing down just a little bit. So I started wearing, the regular polos and khakis. So to calm down, they started to listen a little bit more. And then they started to see, oh, Mr. Goodman got a tattoo. Oh, he is like us. And then I started speaking their language. So I'm going to get back to The Wire. I literally had to take snippets out of The Wire to teach them about life. Because that's what they related to. They related to The Wire. But
You had to speak their language. That's good. That's good.
It's crazy.
That's good, man. That is crazy. That is crazy. Man, what makes fatherhood so important to you personally, on a personal level? What makes fatherhood just the deal? It seems like you really take it seriously. Like when you hear about you explaining what your co-parenting situation looked like, and despite having a quote unquote week without the kids, it's still not a week off from the kids.
Oh no.
So it sounds like fatherhood, like you take it really serious. Why is that?
I don't want to see no person fail. You hear no child left behind in school. Right. It's kind of like my motto when it comes to fatherhood. Like I want my kids to win at life. And I take it serious because of that. I want everybody around me, my kids, mates, business partners. If you're around me, I want you to win. And that's solely the reason. I want them to win at life, because I've had this conversation with somebody a while back, and they asked me, like, you could have another kid in this life, would you? No, I would not. It's hard to bring kids up in this world, because it is devilish out here, man. And none of us are saints. Let me clear that up. None of us are saints. But this world is wicked. It's a lot going on.
It is. It's way different than it was when you and I were growing up. Mm-hmm. I have a conversation, my wife and I, we were just talking the other night, and a good friend of mine, you probably know, he just passed away about a week and some change ago.
I heard
senseless murder in northern Alabama. And no, it was my mother I was having a conversation with, and we were just talking about him. The guy, he lived with us for a little bit back when I was younger, good friend of mine, and he was taken out to gun violence. And the subject was brought up, how come they just don't fight it out like they used to, just use the 1 and 2, and just have a fair one. But these kids, they're not fighting anymore. They're not fighting. A lot of them don't even know how to fight
at all.
They don't know how to throw a punch. They don't know how to take a punch. They don't know how to take the embarrassment that comes with losing a fight. And so, in a lot of cases, they're picking up guns. And man, it seems like the norm now is just to shoot your way out of a fight.
Right. And that goes back to what I was saying about like what you see and what you hear influences you. Because all you hear now and I love rap. I love every rap. I love Memphis rap, Tennessee, all that.
I love Memphis rap.
Look, I love it all. Look, 3-6 Mafia, Player Fly, 8-Ball JG, Dog.
Player Fly. You said Player Fly, man.
Look. Hey, man.
E-Glock, all of that, man. Yeah.
Hey, I love it all. But the thing is, it's like, if we watch a movie, right? We watch Scarface, the movie. We know that that's a movie, right? And granted, yeah, we learned how to do some of that stuff from those movies. But applying that to real life right now, that's something that I don't think most of us did. Most of these kids these days hear Draco this, Draco that. So what you said about the fighting, they can get a gun so easy. Nowadays, man, it ain't no fight. We're going to shoot. They leave a location on the phone. I'm over here. It's so many guys that got killed by, I'm over here, we beefing.
Social media. Social media. Like you said earlier. Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah. That's That's tough. That's tough. Yeah. That's tough. Yeah. So if you could go back, let's land this plane, man. Let's close out and you know, I know you got things to do. I got things to do, but I really appreciate you taking your time out and interviewing. But I got a final question I want to ask you. If you could go back to your 18-year-old self, would you do anything differently? What would you say to your 18-year-old self?
Boy, I'm finna give you the most honest answer. I'm finna give you the most honest answer. Going back, and I would definitely say, like, don't deal with so many different women. Because I think that does something mentally to you, because it builds something in a man, like mistrust. What am I seeing? Not knowing, like, what's going on, person to person type of things. Like, that would be the one thing that I would really not do. And that's one of the things that Hannah always told me don't do. You stick with you one person, learn that one person, things like that. I definitely would not be switching women like how I did back in the day. And I wasn't no bad kid. I wasn't just no super pimp or nothing like that. No. It was just the ease of being able to do it. You know what I'm saying? And there's something that I know right now that I instill in my kids. Like, I've got into it with people about that same situation. Like, I don't want my kid thinking that they have to be with a lot of women, things like that, because that's not true. Like, it's just not true. And we got these kids now thinking that you can't even be with one person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I don't want that for my kids. So that would be the one thing that I would change, because that would have helped me as a person individually in my previous relationships.
That's good. That's good. Man, I know I said that was going to be the last question, but you bring up, I'm starting to pick up something with you, Daz. And I don't know if it's just because we was raised in the South. I don't know if it was, you know, Miss Hannah and the impact that she had on your life, man.
Yes.
It seems like it's really important that you pass on values and character that was instilled in you. It seems like it's really important and incumbent on you that you transfer those values and that same character to your children.
Right.
And am I in left field?
No, you in center field. Like, you right on it and about to hit a home run on it. That's definitely something that's important to me. That's one of my favorite quotes is simply add value. Like, add that value to whatever you're doing. Because if you're not adding value, you shouldn't even be doing it. Add value to your relationship.
Why is it so important to add value? Why is it so important to pass on those same character traits that was passed to you? You know, why is it so important to pass on values to your children?
Because we got to give a blueprint to them. And without us showing them like what value is, they'll be clueless about what life is really about. Because it's not about a lot of these materialistic things that media, and not just social media, has made us feel like we got to get everything. It's not about that. If you can make your life as simple as possible and you're happy and peaceful, you can do anything. You can do anything, but you have to learn that first. We're starting to learn that as adults later on. We want the fast cars, big house. We want to move everywhere. We want to go vacation. And then later on, we want peace. Tell me how that works. That's backwards. That's backwards. Good. But if we learn how to do that first and then carry those things, I think we enjoy things a little bit longer in life.
That's a good point to end on, brother. It's a good point to end on. DAZ Goodman, thank you so much for taking time out to interview, man. I know you're a busy man. Looks like you're on the road today. But man, it's been a real treat to have you come in and just share your wisdom with our community, with the Pop Talk audience. And man, I think we're better from this conversation, man. It's just awesome just hearing about, despite, you know, being in a co-parenting situation, how you approach your co-parenting situation, how actively engaged and involved you are in your children's life, man. It's an inspiration, bro. I just want to give you a salute, man, and encourage you to keep on keeping on, brother.
Man, I thank you, man, and I definitely got to give you your flowers for even making this platform, man, because it's not a lot of platforms out here where fathers get to speak on. And I hope actually men and women see these interviews, because I feel like we don't know each other no more. We don't know each other no more. And what you're doing right now is putting it out there in the air, and then you can have your own opinion about it. And I loved it about this show. So, man, I appreciate you having me, man. This is a blessing. Thanks,
man. Thanks. Well, you know, we're just trying to create a platform where, you know, fathers can speak freely, you know, and encourage other dads, and also encourage mothers out there, you know, because at the end of the day, it's still a team sport. Fatherhood is a team sport. You know, it's not like golf. It's not a solo sport, but you need a team to get over this, to get through this fatherhood journey, man. And women are a part of that. You know, grandmothers are a part of that, you know, and so and other dads in the community are a part of that, the physical community and the web community as well. And so, man, again, thank you so much. Thank you so much, brother, for taking your time out and talking to us. Man, well, I appreciate you, man.
Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give the thumbs up and share it with other fathers who might find it helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Fatherhood is not a solo sport, it's a team sport. Let's raise strong, confident, and happy children together.